At the start of the film, we see a boy painting in room 203 when he discovers a hole in the wall of that room. He approaches it after seeing it. Meanwhile, a man who is the building's manager approaches him. He informs him that this hole is alive and hungry. There is a spirit in this hole who wants to eat everyone, and when the boy hears this, he tells the manager what a joke it is. The manager then exits the building, but the boy remains, because his friend was coming to meet him. As soon as he put his hand inside the hole, the boy was about to fill it. Someone is holding his hand, and when the boy pulls it out, there is blood on it. A locket also appears from the wall. Now, at night, the boy notices a painting on the window that was created in the room. Meanwhile, his friend arrived. He also shows his friend the painting and gives her the locket he obtained from the wall hole. She is overjoyed to see this, as she adores this locket. The boy then goes to get alcohol for his friend. But when he returned, he noticed that his friend was acting strangely. Someone appears to have taken control of her soul. She cuts her own throat with the glass fragments after breaking it. As soon as she does this, the boy's condition deteriorates. Following that, we see a girl named Kim getting into a car with her parents. Kim is being driven to a friend's house by her parents. She will now continue her studies while staying with her friend. They were displeased because they were not Kim's friends. Kim goes to see Izzy, a friend of hers. She planned to live in the same building we saw at the start of the story. She now goes to meet the owner of that building, who used to live in room 204. He informs them that they are not permitted to enter the building's basement. He assigns them a room with the number 203. When they enter this room, Izzy notices the painting and is about to touch it when the owner stops her. And Kim returns him after paying the rent. Kim now sees the same hole in the wall that we saw at the start of the episode at night. After seeing it, she places a mirror on it. Later, she visits her friend Izzy. If we talk about Izzy, her mother recently died, and she was depressed as a result. Kim later spends quality time with her. They talk in the morning, and when Kim returns to her room, she notices the hole has grown larger than it was the day before. She later puts her hand into it when she shows it to Izzy. And then she starts screaming, which scares Kim, so she goes to help her, but she was joking. Now she receives the same locket that the boy found at the beginning of the film. Izzy wears it, and we see both of them sitting in the bar with two boys in the following scene. Meanwhile, a boy begins to misbehave with Kim. She tried to stop him, but he didn't fight back. Meanwhile, Izzy punches him, causing him to fall to the ground. Kim and Izzy have returned home, and Izzy's friend was also present. Izzy has drank excessively and faints as a result. Her companion, who had accompanied her, was lost in her home. He returns to the same painting, which was in the painting. Meanwhile, he notices a reflection passing from there. He goes to the restroom, where he is killed with a knife. And he dies there and then. Kim, on the other hand, was in her room when she heard a sound from Izzy's room, but when she went to check on her, she was sleeping. Her locket, however, had fallen to the ground. She holds it and keeps it up until Izzy asks Kim about her friend in the morning. She claims she has no idea when he returned, and Kim is also unaware of this. They were both unaware that someone had killed him in their home, but they were both unaware. Kim recalls her college assignment while speaking. She is late because of this, and she rushes to her college. But her task could not be completed, and she encounters a boy. He says, "I'll assist you with whatever task you have." She tells him about a friend of mine who started drinking heavily after her mother died. "And I want to write a book about her life, and I need my teacher's help." Kim got along well with the boy. Kim returns home at night and sees the same painting. But this time there was a musical box in front of her that neither she nor Izzy had kept. Then who else was at their house doing all of this? The same person who murdered their friend. Kim returns to her room and begins researching for her book. Later, she goes to sleep, but when she wakes up in the middle of the night, she sees the same hole, through which she can see a hand approaching. Kim goes to look at it and hears a loud knocking sound. Izzy was there when she opened the door. She was pounding her head against the door. As a result, her scalp begins to bleed. In fact, Izzy had a habit of walking while sleeping. Kim forces her to sleep with her for this purpose. When Kim wakes up in the morning, she notices that Izzy isn't with her. She now goes to see her in her room, who is sitting perfectly fine. Izzy informs her that I have a problem in which I walk while sleeping. So there's no need to be concerned about me. Kim tells Izzy about the boy she met in college during the conversation. She says I'm going to meet him outside today. She smiles when she hears this. Kim then goes to her online class. When her class is finished, she informs the teacher that she is writing a book about her friend's life. Is what I'm doing correct? Her teacher tells her that if your friend has no objections, she can do it. Later, Izzy appears, wearing the same locket that she obtained from the hole. She was fully prepared because she had a film audition today. She is now leaving after saying her goodbyes to Kim. Kim also attends college, where she meets the same boy. He inquires as to how your friend, Izzy's mother, is doing. She tells him that she used to have a lot of drugs because of her addiction to them. Because of this, Kim's parents dislike Izzy. That's why, when Izzy's mother died, they didn't let her go. Her friend, on the other hand, required her the most. While discussing this, she is overcome with emotion. The boy pushes her onto her bicycle and tells her not to worry, then drops her near her building, where they've rented room 203. She sees the owner of her building when she returns home. He was staring at her in an odd way. She calls her parents after entering her room, but they do not answer. Because they were still mad at her. Meanwhile, the mirror in her room that she put in that same hole breaks. When she goes to see her friend, she immediately hears Izzy's voice. She sleeps after closing the door, but she wakes up in the middle of the night. She notices Izzy walking toward the basement as she walks up. She chases her because Izzy was initially invisible to her. But after a while, she finds her, who is holding the same music box that Kim found. Kim is now bringing her back to reality. She begins to shiver after coming to her senses. Kim tells her to give up her bad habits and stop drinking alcohol. Izzy also promises to refrain from drinking alcohol. Later, Kim runs into the boy who has become her friend, and she tells him everything that happened the night before. She tells him about what happened to Izzy and how she ended up in the basement. He suggests she conduct an investigation after hearing her story. What is causing this to occur in your home? And when she comes to her house with a friend, the door to her room was opened, and the owner of the building was also present. He was scrubbing the painting that had been done on the window. He tells her, "I told you not to go to the basement," but she did. However, nothing like this should happen in the future. He moves on from there after saying this. Kim's friend takes a picture of the painting on his phone after he leaves. Because there were strange words written in it, and there were some marks on it. Kim later shows her friend a musical box. Meanwhile, Izzy arrives, disappointed because her audition was not held. After informing them, she proceeds from there. Later, Kim's friend notices the hole and, after photographing it, begins to look for it on the internet. After extensive research, they discover that the world is written on the painting, and that such languages were used in the past. When Kim shows him the locket after researching it, they discover that a few people moved into building room 203. They then vanished, and no one knows what happened to them. They doze off after their investigation. Izzy notices the building owner doing something in the morning. She ignores him and walks ahead. Meanwhile, she receives a courier containing a book. Kim's book was written about her, and after seeing her, she dislikes it. Kim, on the other hand, visits a man who used to live in this building. He doesn't talk to her at first, but after learning that Kim also lives in room 203, he does. The man tells Kim a story about a family who lived in the same 203 room. His wife was pregnant, so one day he took her to the basement and performed her operation on himself before bringing her baby out. Surprisingly, the baby survived, but his wife died and he later committed suicide. But no one knows where the child is or why this happened to them. The most surprising aspect was that all of the people who lived there had vanished. Kim returns home after learning all of this, where Izzy is drinking alcohol and is enraged because she learned about Kim's book. She tells her that she is being taken advantage of. When she hears this, she asks her friend, "Why would I take advantage of this?" She also apologizes for this. On the other hand, Kim's friend visits the church and discovers that the church's painting and Kim's house painting are very similar. He realized that whatever was created on this painting was either a demon's or a spirit's mark. It had a cross sign on it, which is now hidden at Kim's house. When he is aware of everything, he will conduct extensive research. He discovers that this demon was a goddess who created a demon first. She now eats people's spirits as her meal. After learning all of this, he calls Kim, but she does not answer, so he leaves a voice message for her. Kim, on the other hand, is concerned and begins to break the enlarging hole. Meanwhile, a hand emerges from there, and she becomes terrified. Meanwhile, the building's owner approaches from behind and grabs her. After making her faint, he takes her with him. She was at his house when she regained consciousness. The building owner now informs her and shows her a painting of her parents. He claims that they are both in the care of the demon who lives inside the hole. Here we learn that the boy about the man told Kim that he was none other than the building's owner. After a few days, the demon craved human soul. After killing humans, he feeds the demon. Kim's friend, on the other hand, goes to her house while looking for her. Izzy, who had been possessed by the demon, was present. She approaches and sits on him. Kim, on the other hand, is informed by the building's owner. My parents once mistakenly referred to the demon in this world as having magic. And her entrance is through that painting, and she then takes human souls from that hole. So she could be satisfied, and he was about to kill Kim after telling her. But she flees after stabbing his eyes with the knife. When she returned home, she discovered her friend's body. She is terrified after seeing it. It means the demon has also killed her friend, and she goes in search of Izzy. But she isn't there, so she follows her to the basement. The building owner was chasing her, whom she had attacked in his eyes. He was about to shoot Kim with her gun when he arrived. Meanwhile, Kim senses the spirit of the building owner's dead body. He points the gun at the building owner, and the gun fires automatically. He died, and everything was done by his father's soul. Because he knows his son is wrong. On the other hand, Izzy was discovered, and Kim tells her to remove her necklace, because everything is happening because of this. But, just as Izzy was about to attack her, Kim removes her locket. When they return home, Kim smashes the window through which the painting was created. They believe they have ended the demon's path by breaking the window. The rescue team arrives later and saves them. Their friendship is becoming even stronger. In the film's final scene, we see them all believing that the demon will never return. Meanwhile, a demon is visible behind the broken window. It means that the story of Room 203 will continue in the future. This is how the film concludes. Thank you for watching.